This is a template to help convert quotes from PDFs into Excel spreadsheets, and then to be able to that automatically cleanse information and then bring it into SAP work orders to do purchasing. So the first thing to see on this template is this is the header page, the sheet called instructions, and it'll eventually have maybe more detailed instructions. So the fields here basically are what populate all the templates. So the type of currency, Canadian, what is your operation you're buying against, like operation row 10, 20, 30, whatever. And what is your unloading point? There's a drop down here that lists all the unloading points. That I just copied that from SAP and put it into a sheet on the bottom here at the far left called lists. That's where all the lists are that feed all these drop downs. Like this the next one, recipient, is a drop down list of all employees, all names. And once you pick the person, then it would put in the person's SAP username that goes onto the work order. So that becomes the default. And then the requisitioner, again, it's a list of all names. Purchasing organization, vendor is a drop-down list of all vendors. So that's going to default for the entire, for all the rows they're buying from the same vendor. That puts in the vendor number onto the work order. The purchasing group and the material group. Now the material group will default for all rows, but in the this first example I'll show you, you can then toggle each row to what it actually is if they're not all mechanical parts. The tracking number is a field in SAP on a purchase rec that's hasn't been used much up to this point, but it's very useful. It's free form text. You can just type anything in there. It gives you the ability of basically searching your requisitions later. In ME5A, you can search by that tracking number. So you can use it like for grouping all purchase recs, say for midlife on a truck, like ML501. So you can easily bring up all the purchase recs and see which ones are still open and not turned into purchase orders yet. So that could be very useful. And this, the last thing on this, on the header, data that feeds every form is the letter N. So by default, if you have an N in there, it'll put, for every material number row, it'll put it in as an N for non-stock or N lag. So it'll order it from the vendor rather than pulling it out of stock. So these are the buttons that bring you to the different sheets on the bottom here. And we might end up changing the names of these depending on feedback, what people prefer. But the first one's pretty simple. It just has the quantity units of measure description, but it also has a tax column. So if you have a quote, PDF quotes that you get that have that tax column, you don't want to remove it every time, then this template might be the one you might like. This one also has the column H that has a material group where you can override. I'll demonstrate that after we bring some data in. So to go get the quote, to convert it, I click on this link here. It takes me to a website, this onlineocr.net. So I can select the file I want to convert. And for this first example, I have this quote that has a tax column. And I'll convert it to Excel and convert. Now you can also manually grab chunks from a quote. Holding down the Alt key, you can copy right from the PDF into one of these templates that you like. But this does all of the columns at once, bringing them all in. So it's a lot less effort. When you do the download output file link and then hit open, it often opens it underneath. So if you click on your status bar, your taskbar on the bottom, you'll see that it's opened it. It's this quote here. Now I might need to do some editing, so I click on enable editing because I might need to clean this up a little before copy and pasting it to my template. So I have the item number, which is probably their part number, and quantity, units of measure, description, and tax and unit price. Now the unit price looks weird, but if I click on it, I see in the formula bar up there that is actually does have the pennies in it. It's just weird the way it came in as formatted that way. And if you look at the original quote that I brought in, it has a black crease on it, so it couldn't bring in this row. It didn't understand what that row was, so I have to manually do that row. I'll just delete that row. And this tax column is going to cause a problem because it's using merged cells. So watch what happens when I go to select this data. And see how it's selected down, even further down than I wanted. So if I turn off this merge, maybe that'll fix that problem. Let's see if I can select now just what I want. Yeah, I don't want the delivery. There, I just want to that. So sometimes merged cells create an issue. Okay, so that's what I want. I don't want their part number. Now, if I wanted that, then I would have to use a template that actually has the part number field in it, which is one of these templates, 3 or 4. This one has part number. So we end up wanting part number. I can insert a column for that in the first one. But for now, I'll just demonstrate with this. Right-click, copy, or Control-C. And then in here, on my template number 1 here, I right-click, paste as values. So the information came over, and they're all mechanical parts according to that. Now you've noticed the square footage, SQFT. SAP doesn't like that, so I have a formula here that converts that. So it'll convert units of measure that are wrong into what SAP likes. It won't convert them all, but if you find ones that will need converting, let me know. I could add it to the table. So there's a table of, if it finds X, it converts to Y, that kind of concept. So now, if I know that say this HSS is not mechanical parts, for that one row, I can change that to what it is. And the dropdown just lists all material types. Now, if I scroll over, if you want to prove to you it's actually had an effect, you'll see that that material type has been changed, the material group. So all the data has been carried over to the right. Now, when I'm ready to bring this into SAP, I just hit this copy button, and that copies all the data, all the information, and with all the defaults that came in from the header page, all the way to the tracking number. So I don't have to scroll over, I just want to show you. So now it's copied already with that button, so I just go into my SAP work order. Now you need to scroll down to, if you already have things on a work order and you're just adding, you need to scroll down so that you're at least have the maximum space. So I can only paste 15 rows because I have one up there, it'll only take 14 rows. So when I paste, if I don't trust that the data came in properly, before hitting enter, I can scroll over just to make sure that everything went in the right columns. So you got the price in the right price column, the vendor, the requisitioner, and tracking number. So it looks all good, hit enter, and then any errors it'll prompt you, like it's an SAP material number and there's no price, then it'll prompt you to enter a price that you were quoted. So it looks like it's good, it went all in. So if I save that work order, release and save, it would order those things. So I can go back to my template, Control Home if you ever want to go back to the top left. Now really, if I use this as a template, I can save this as a file, as a backup, so I have a copy of what I purchased today. And the next time I use the template, it'll come in fresh and empty. So I can hit the Home key also to come back to the main page if I wanted to go and buy other things using other templates.